In this video, I'm going to take a deep dive into meniscal tears of the knee, what they are, why they happen, the different types, how they're diagnosed, and most importantly, what the treatment options are. Which tears tend to get better without surgery, and which ones can be treated surgically. I'll also talk about some of the other treatment options like injections, exercise management, and some of the newer and emerging treatments, plus whether age has an influence on the best way forward. So if you or someone you know is dealing with a meniscal problem and you want a clear explanation of the options, then this video should help. I'm Stephen Bunting and I'm a specialist MSK physiotherapist working in the UK. Welcome to my channel, where I discuss the common MSK problems experienced by everyday people and the evidence-based treatments that can help. You have two menisci in each knee, a larger medial one on the inside and a smaller lateral one on the outside. They're crescent-shaped structures made of fibrocartilage, and their job is to act as shock absorbers, to distribute load and to help stabilise the knee during movement. But here's the key thing that most people don't know. Only the outer edge of the meniscus has a blood supply, the so-called red-red zone. The middle region has a minimal blood supply called the red-white zone, and the inner third has no blood supply and is called the white-white zone. And this matters because the potential for healing depends on blood supply, and so the area of the meniscus that's torn is one of the biggest factors which determine whether a meniscal tear can heal and also whether surgical repair is an option. Tears on the outer rim have a much better chance of healing than tears in the inner white-white zone. We see two main patterns of meniscal tear: traumatic tears and degenerative tears. Traumatic tears are much more common in younger, active people. You twist your knee on a planted foot, commonly when playing football, hockey, basketball, that sort of thing, and it's that classic pivoting motion. So when you hear a sports person saying they've torn their cartilage, a torn meniscus is usually what they're talking about. Now, degenerative tears are much more common in older adults, typically the over 40s, and you don't need a dramatic injury. Symptoms can start with a minor injury, or they can equally gradually occur as the meniscus thins and wears over time. The symptoms of a meniscal tear are usually a pain on one side of the joint. It might feel quite superficial and it might feel quite deep inside the knee depending on the type of tear. Medial meniscal tears are more common because the medial meniscus is larger and more vulnerable to injury, and so the pain will be on the inside of the knee, whereas the lateral meniscal tear is a bit less common and the pain will usually be over the outside of the knee. Other symptoms can be swelling, clicking, catching, or a feeling that the knee might give way. Larger tears can cause more mechanical symptoms like locking, where the knee temporarily gets stuck. This can happen when a loose fragment of torn meniscus gets jammed between the knee joint surfaces. Meniscal knee pain is often felt when kneeling, squatting, or during twisting movements. Longitudinal tears run parallel to the meniscal fibres. They follow the outer rim of the meniscus and often occur with traumatic twisting injuries. These are the tears that are most likely to be repairable, especially if they're in the red-red or red-white zones, where the blood supply is better. Bucket handle tears are a specific type of large longitudinal tear where the inner part of the torn meniscus flips into the joint like the handle of a bucket. These often cause those mechanical symptoms of locking or sticking of the knee and can be quite painful. They often need surgical treatment. Radial tears are tears that run from the inner part of the meniscus outwards. Because they cut across the meniscal fibres, they disrupt the ability of the meniscus to handle load. Unlike longitudinal tears, Radial tears are less likely to heal because they often cut across all three meniscal blood supply zones. Radial tears of the lateral meniscus are more commonly associated with trauma, whereas radial tears of the medial meniscus are often degenerative. They usually need either careful rehabilitation or sometimes surgical treatment if symptoms persist. Horizontal cleavage tears split the meniscus into top and bottom layers, a bit like a sandwich. These are often degenerative tears and are more common in middle-aged and older adults. They can often be managed conservatively unless they are causing mechanical symptoms of locking, and then surgery can be helpful. Flap tears, or parrot beak tears, are small triangular flaps that can become loose and then stick between the joint, causing sudden catches of pain during knee movement. Flap tears will often be treated surgically, often by trimming the tear. Complex tears are, as the name suggests, a combination of different tear types. They are often degenerative, with fraying of the torn edges in multiple directions, so they have a messy, irregular tear pattern, and as such, they usually can't be repaired surgically. They tend to happen in older patients, and they're often associated with knee arthritis. Meniscal root tears occur where the meniscus attaches to the bone. They are considered a serious tear because the meniscal root is the main anchor point for the meniscus, and when it's torn, the entire meniscus loses its ability to function properly. So it's like losing the entire meniscus. Meniscal root tears nearly always cause significant symptoms of pain and a feeling of instability, particularly when putting stress through the knee or when deep squatting. Root tears usually need surgical treatment in order to restore knee function, and they do need treating quickly in order to avoid developing secondary osteoarthritis. In clinic, we rely on a mix of different factors to help diagnose a meniscal tear. Most importantly, we consider your age and we listen to your story, so basically the mechanism of your injury, if indeed there is an injury. On examination, there may be tenderness along the inside or outside of the joint line. There may be pain during rotation testing and with deep knee flexion. An MRI scan is the gold standard test, but it's not the whole story. In a younger patient with a traumatic tear, MRI can be really helpful as it can show the tear pattern, its location, and whether it's going to be surgically repairable. But in older adults, MRIs are less helpful because we know that many older people have degenerative meniscal tears and most of them won't have any symptoms at all. Indeed, clinical studies have shown that in the over 50s, about 40% of the general population will have a degenerative meniscal tear, and well over 60% of the over 70s will have one. So the key message is that the results of an MRI scan, particularly in the over 40s, always need interpreting alongside your symptoms. Tears that usually respond well to conservative treatment are the small, stable longitudinal tears, the horizontal cleavage tears, and the degenerative tears that are not mechanically catching or locking. This is because the pain from these tears is often not from the tear itself, but rather the irritation and inflammation around the tear, and this will often reduce over time with conservative treatments. Indeed, studies have shown that over 80% of degenerative meniscal tears in the over 40s will get better over time without surgery. For pain relief, simple painkillers and anti-inflammatories can certainly help early on. Injections can also be used, such as steroid injections to help with pain and swelling, or hyaluronic acid injections to help with joint lubrication, although the evidence for these does vary. If your weight is contributing to your symptoms, then even a small reduction in body weight can make a meaningful difference. Modifying painful activities temporarily, like avoiding deep squatting or twisting movements, can help the meniscus settle down while you build strength around it. Which brings us on to rehabilitation, because this is the most effective treatment for a good long-term recovery. Strengthening your quadriceps, hamstrings and glutes with low impact knee exercises can help support the knee and reduce pressure on the meniscus, and then a gradual return to normal weight-bearing activities and rebuilding confidence in the knee. The type of exercises to do are things like wall sits, stepping activities, both up and down, hamstring bridges, lunges and balance drills. I'll link to a full exercise program for knee meniscal tears up here and in the description. Rehabilitation typically takes about 6 to 12 weeks to get a meaningful improvement, so do be patient. Okay, so let's now deal with the surgical options. And what surgeons can do has changed hugely over the years. In the 1970s and 80s, the menisci weren't thought to do much, and so when they were torn, surgeons would just remove them entirely in a procedure called a total meniscectomy. By the time I qualified in the late 1990s, these patients were then coming back with quite severe osteoarthritis, many of them needing full knee replacement surgery, often quite early in their lives. So it was quickly discovered that the menisci are actually really important structures, and perhaps they shouldn't be removed entirely when they get torn. So practice changed, and surgeons started using techniques which try and preserve as much of the meniscus as possible, so as to avoid the risk of developing early arthritis. So with this in mind, the modern knee surgeon generally has two choices to consider, both of which are keyhole procedures. They can either repair the meniscal tear or they can debride it, which means trimming away the damaged fragments. In younger patients with a traumatic tear, a meniscal repair is usually the preferred option because it preserves the entire meniscus, hopefully allowing it to function normally in the future. So meniscal repair works best in patients who have had an injury. The tear is longitudinal and it's located in the red-red or red-white zones, which have a good blood supply. On the other hand, meniscal debridement, also called a partial meniscectomy, is where the damaged section of the meniscus is trimmed away. This is usually considered when the tear isn't repairable, such as flap tears, radial tears through the white-white zone, or complex degenerative tears that cause persistent mechanical symptoms despite good rehabilitation. So the goal of a debridement is to preserve as much of your healthy meniscus as possible, because the more meniscal tissue is removed, the higher the long-term risk of developing knee arthritis in the future. In general, younger patients will have a better chance of meniscal repair success because their tissue quality and blood supply are going to be that much better. If you're in the 40 to 60 age range, then repairs can still be successful depending on the tear type and overall knee health, but the success rates will generally reduce with age. And so the best first-line treatment is often going to be rehab and exercise management, and occasionally injections. Surgical debridement can be considered if there are mechanical symptoms of locking or sticking, or if exercise management has failed. And finally, if you're over 60 with a meniscal tear, then it's almost certainly going to be degenerative and almost certainly part of a wider knee arthritis problem. And so the treatments will tend to be aimed at your knee arthritis and not your meniscal tear, because it's the health of the joint rather than the tear itself that becomes the main issue. I've covered osteoarthritis in detail in other videos, particularly this one, which looks at osteoarthritis in depth, and then this one, which looks at the details of exercise management of arthritis. And indeed, exercise management is often the best treatment option with knee arthritis, followed by things like injections, and then eventually, if symptoms are severe and debilitating, then surgery, which would usually be a total or partial knee joint replacement. Meniscal surgery in an arthritic knee will almost always have a poor result, unless it's done for those mechanical symptoms of locking or catching that we spoke about earlier. So, if your meniscal tear is managed conservatively, then you can expect a slow improvement in symptoms over 6 to 12 weeks, and then a return to sport or higher activities over about 2 to 3 months. If you've had a surgical meniscal repair, then the recovery can be lengthy because meniscal tissue needs time to heal properly. You can expect to be on crutches for up to 6 weeks, and then a slow return to normal activities, and then a return to sport at about 4 to 6 months. But this is very dependent on the type of tear and the repair procedure. And finally, with meniscal debridement, you can generally expect a much faster recovery of about 2 to 6 weeks, but there might be a higher long-term risk of arthritis if a large amount of meniscal tissue is removed. Okay, so let's finish with some of the new and emerging treatments, but we can't get too excited about these because the evidence for them is still developing. First are the biologic treatments, such as the different growth factor injections and stem cell rich bone marrow injections, which essentially use your body's own healing cells to help promote the meniscal repair process. Then we have the meniscal scaffolds and implants, which use a collagen or synthetic matrix to fill the gap left over by a damaged or surgically debrided meniscus in order to provide a frame to help stimulate tissue ingrowth. And finally, we have meniscal transplantation. This is sometimes offered to younger patients with large, irreparable tears, where the risk of developing arthritis is quite high. Here, the surgeon uses a human donor meniscus to replace the damaged one. For each of these treatments, it's still early days though, and they are generally only offered at specialist centres or research institutes. But we have our fingers crossed that as these techniques are refined and results improve, they might become more widely available in the future. Meniscal tears are common, but with the right diagnosis, the right treatment plan, and a clear understanding of when surgery is likely to be helpful and when it's not, most people will go on to do really well. Okay, well that's about it. I do hope you found the video helpful. If so, then please let me know in the comments, and also hit the like and subscribe button because this really helps the channel to grow and get it on the radar of more people who might also benefit from this sort of information. Don't forget to check out the other videos on osteoarthritis and the knee exercise program, which should be popping up here. Okay, well thanks very much for watching, take care and bye for now.